All right. Welcome to WitchLab Wednesday Live. I'm your host, Tiffany Boggins, and let's see, it's January 27th, 2021, and we are going to have a bloody good show because we have the blood sorceress, Lauren Davis, joining us, Queen of Chaos, Grand Madam of the Left-Handed Path. I'm just going to keep throwing things at her till she picks one. It's going to be, I don't know. I'm still going to, she hasn't approved any of these, by the way. This is just my take on it. So she's here to talk to us today. She is one of my absolute favorite people to talk about magic with. Lauren and I met a year ago when she came here to do the Coven of Ashes performance, Alethea. And we've been kind of in love ever since. But yeah, we geek out about magic. And so she has a new business that is incredible, and I want you guys to hear all about it. It is Sui Generis Magicka, and she's going to explain that name to you and everything in a little bit. What else is going on? She's going to come on in a little bit, but I got some things to talk about first. So we have, it's the full moon, guys, right? I know it's tomorrow, technically, where we are right now, but as most of us believe, working full moon is 3 days, the day before, the day of, the day after. So you'll be starting tonight, so what's good full moon work? Oh, right, comments. Sorry, guys. Hey, just launching in. Hey, Rachel, Betty, Michelle, Jean, Christina. Hey, guys. Okay, so hi, Michelle. Palermo, different Michelle. So full moon work, right? Drawing abundance, recharging, kind of like that cheesy Sabrina episode where they literally all had to lay in the moonlight to get their powers back. It's kind of like that, right? And mental clarity work, right? Maybe ask yourself some questions like, the hard questions like, what do you want? Now's the time to do that. What else? It's the wolf moon, right? Oh, so it was brought to my attention. So we get a lot of new tarot decks and books. Almost weekly, we get new stuff. And someone was like, hey, why don't you do reviews of things? And so because we were watching an unboxing of a tarot deck that we got in, I was like, I could do this. So I might do that if you guys think it's a good idea. I don't know. Hey, Kim. Oh, who else? Did I miss anybody? Charlene. I think that's how I say your name. Hi, beautiful. Hey, Mark. Mark has moved far away from us. Not that far, but it's further than it was. So it's nice to see your face. Okay, I'm getting off topic. As I do. I'm making moon water, right? You do that tonight, tomorrow, or the next day, or all three. Hey, Rachel. I think moon water was the first class I taught at actual brick and mortar WitchLab. That's fun. Okay, so yeah, unboxing things. That's the thing. I might start doing that. Just so you guys can see the new stuff we have in. We have this new one called Divine Doors. It's just a whole deck. Each card is a different doorway, and I'm a door freak, so it's neat. And there's little oracle cardy type things on the back. Okay. Oh, so some other things that are coming out that I want you guys to be aware of. Mortellus, right? When she was on the show, our expert on everything necromantic. Her book is coming out February 8th. She has asked a few people to do an online thing for her for the day of the opening. And she asked me to be part of that little chat group. So hopefully, schedules permitting, I can do that. And even if I can't, I will still let you guys know when it's happening. There's no time yet, but yeah. Okay, so Jean says yes, unboxing. All right. Thank you, Jean, for your input. I'm gonna, because I geek out about a new deck, right? And then you get to pull out the cards that you think are most important out of that deck. The Devil, the Hermit, the Hanged Man. There's a list I go down. The High Priestess. Okay, anyway. So when Mortellus gets with me about the schedule, I'll let you guys know so that you can see her and I and whoever else that she invites chat a bunch about her book. Do I have to wear black? February 8th. It's coming out. And we have it at WitchLab. Well, we will have it at WitchLab. Oh, and the other thing that's happening is my very good friend, Michael J. Morris, is doing something on February 5th. It's an online dance expression event. It's called Witch Dancing. And I had a little thing to read to you guys about it. Yeah, so Michael J. Morris will guide us in witch dancing, a Buto-based movement ritual practice developed from their own ongoing practices in both witchcraft and Buto, which I know that Lauren Davis is going to have a lot to say about that. She's backstage right now like, yes! This practice asks, what if a dance is also a spell with which we conjure our bodies and the worlds in which they live? In witch dancing, we move through a continuous series of images, qualities, and states engaging in a metamorphosis of the body. The movement is improvisational and requires no previous dance experience. The practice will be supported by an original sound score by Moxie Martinez. That's DJ Moxie. For those in the know, that's the lead. Oh, she's awesome. She's an amazing DJ. She puts together. She's an incredible mixer, original music composer. But she was the one who put together all the playlists for my second wedding. So her and I go way back. So icing on the cake. So I had a picture to show you guys for the Michael J. Morris thing, just so you get a little visual. There's Michael. He is a dance professor. They are a dance professor, and they are absolutely captivating and wonderful and incredible human being. They spoke at the Dark Market. They gave a lecture on witchcraft during times of resistance. So yeah, Michael is a quality human being. And I would definitely watch that thing. And you can go to their website, which is flux-flow.com to find out more about that. Okay. Upcoming stuff for WitchLab, just for us now. February 3rd, Amy Blackthorne, author of Blackthorne Botanical Brews, is going to be, and a bunch of other things, is going to be here to talk about her new book that came out, which is the Brews book. Anything else I feel like asking her, because she has to answer anything I ask her. And about the class that she's teaching for WitchLab, which is March 6th, I believe, and it is Hexy Cocktails and Magic Potions, and you can sign up for that class at witchlab.com. There will be like a mixing thing, like she's going to go through how to mix a corpse reviver, and if you want to, you can mix along by getting the stuff beforehand, if you want. It sounds fun to me. Mix along drinky thing. Okay, next, February 10th. We have Gwian Raven and Phoenix LaFay. Their book is coming out the same day as Mortellis's on February 8th. So they'll be on the show February 10th. Their book is A Life Ritualized. And they're also going to be talking about the class that they're teaching for WitchLab, which will be at the end of March, I believe, March 27th. And that is a DIY rites of passage. Like, what is the difference between a rites of passage and a ritual, and kind of breaking that down, and how to make your own for important things in our lives that we don't do that for, because, you know, rites of passage is important to move on to something new. Ritual death and whatnot. Next, there's a class coming up in April. 2 of them, actually. Blood magic classes. I wonder who's teaching those. So, without further ado, we're going to let her tell you about it. Well, there's a little more ado. Here's this. I'd like to introduce you to a woman who has manifested some of the most beautiful and haunting performances I've ever seen, dealing with shadow work. This woman is not afraid to go deep and scary. She's not afraid to make you cry. She is the creator of the ritual performance and bloodletting group Coven of Ashes. She hosts and puts together and designs these things called dark ambient sound baths, which she's going to tell you about, and then you might just cry too, just listening to it. And then her new project, Sui Generis Magicka, which she's going to tell us about. So, one of my favorite people in the world to talk all things occult with, the one and only Lauren Davis.
Yay! Man, I'm gonna cry. That intro was,
That's how you make me feel. I wanted the people to feel it.
Same girl, same.
Yeah, you stole my heart when you were like, Austin Osman Spare. I'm like, wait, what now? You must spare, baby.
It's a rare thing to run into somebody that knows what's up with Spar and his whole just everything about his amazing way that he gets into these transcendental states and does his sigil work and his artwork, and it's all amazing and incredibly inspirational and has been huge inspiration for me.
I love him, and it was nice to actually get to talk to somebody who could say that much about it. Like, yeah, exactly, right.
Oh man, I was reading one of his books. It was like a culmination of, I think, 3 books in one. And to say books, they were really just essays. But
they're like weird poetry.
Yeah,
journeys.
I was having the hardest time understanding it, and I found somebody. I remember posting on Facebook, like, I need a study buddy for Austin Osman Spar. Like, it's
I need somebody to bounce ideas off of. What do you think this means?
So rich with symbolism, and I found out that he was writing these in a trance state. So they're meant to not make sense, or you make your own sense of it, which I absolutely love. Same thing with his sigil work, which is also his artwork, and yeah, pimping him.
So speaking of somebody who brings art into the occult world, that is literally what you do. Like, you brought performance art into without losing any of the importance or ritual or magic in the ritual performance. You gave a performance also, like, and you've done this numerous times with Coven of Ashes, like, and you write these things and then you come up with these elaborate things that make people cry and faint.
We call them falling ovations. Surprisingly, a lot of men can't handle the blood stuff. I think there's a connection with women and our menses, and going through that amount of pain, supporting each other through that amount of pain, that is maybe easier to identify with. I noticed that, people of the male persuasion, they feel compelled to help. Like, they have a hard time being in the same room where women are just naked and bleeding and screaming, because it's this primal pull to, like, I need to do something, and they can't because we're performing. So it's really,
you just have to sit back and watch somebody get hurt and scream and in pain, and
just have to take
really
it, man.
Uncomfortable, man.
It's very uncomfortable, yeah.
But that was a part of it, though. I mean, you're making people feel shit for art and magic.
I mean, I always wanted to do that, whether or not my art or performance was liked. I just wanted somebody to walk away with that they felt something, even if it was complete disgust. That's fine. Just that they felt something. So I think mission accomplished.
Oh yeah, no, every single person. I thought it was funny because I feel like there was a time where we were all too stunned to applaud. It was just like we were like, "Oh my God, is it over? Is it over?" Yes, that was amazing. Oh God.
I actually got the best compliment that I've ever received from a performance from that show that night. There was an individual that addressed my performance specifically and was like, I saw you in the corner before you got up on the stage, and you were just waiting, and you were being a human waiting, and then as soon as you got on stage, you were no longer human. And I was like, thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to embody, was something that was superhuman. I was representing Crystal's shadow. So yeah, I mean, it's not human. That's what I'm trying to tap into. So what did they say? Otherworldly and slightly slightly frightening or something like that. Vaguely threatening. That's what it was. Otherworldly and vaguely threatening.
Okay. 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 I have a bunch of questions for you. But somebody asked if this is labradorite. I'm going to go real quick and tell you it is actually not. It's actually a moss agate. You can see through it. This is made by Lake Witch.
Ooh.
That bitch. She's amazing. She does really sweet, like electroplating stuff. Anyway.
Nice.
So I want to talk to you before we get to Sui Generis, which we will. I want to ask you about the dark ambient sound baths, because when you and I spoke about them in person, you talked about how they're a fully immersive experience, and I think that this could be something that that I think that anybody could benefit from this. But you and I talked about you bringing it here, and so maybe if you tell some of the people here what it's all about, we could maybe get that to work.
Obviously post-COVID, but
right. All of this is in the fantasy future.
Down the line at some point. So dark ambient sound bath came to me at a time when I was going through my own darkness. I was having a lot of mental health issues that weren't being, up until then, weren't being taken care of. And in addition to, you know, seeking professional help for that, I came across these sound baths, and I was like, well, music means so much to me. It affects me in so many ways. I'm going to try that, because why not try everything to help yourself? And I went to one of them, and automatically, you know, I walk in and everybody is very love and light and huggy, and just, you know, I appreciate it. It has its place in time, but going through really traumatic, dark shit, it was hard. It was difficult to tap into that warm, loving feeling. And as I'm going through this amazing sound bath with gongs and chimes and beautiful chanting and everything, it was absolutely amazing. And I'm lying there just like, I wish that I could feel the bass rumble in my chest. Like, I wanted to feel it deeper. I wanted to feel it in my bones, and it just wasn't penetrating enough. I walked away from it. I felt great. I knew that it was going to be sort of this white light experience. You know, surround yourself with this light, imagine yourself in that. And it feels good for the time being. It felt good going home. It didn't have a lasting effect for me. And then on top of that, being sort of the black sheep in this, participating in this ritual, it's always difficult. People have questions. People look at you funny, you know, they just, when we go around and talk about our experiences or what visions came to us, you know, mine are going to be a lot different than most people's, I think. So, and then there was an addition of like, bringing us out of the sound bath meditation. There was an addition of like utilizing pop music, which was Sarah McLachlan, to bring us out of the sound bath.
My eyes can't get any smaller.
Your face.
Oh, what is happening?
Ooh, sorry, that was a car going by. So they use Sarah McLachlan to bring us out of this meditation, and all I could think about was like sad puppies and kitties in, you know, in adoption center, and I was just like, this does not have a good connotation. I don't know why they decided on that, but interesting choice. So I talked to the guy about it afterwards, and I said, you know, are you open to suggestions? And he was absolutely open. I said, maybe don't use like, you know, pop music to bring us out of something so so deep and so personal to us. When it's ambient music, you can assign your own meaning, and you have your own thoughts and trails going off. But yeah, as soon as you introduce something from pop culture, you think of that thing and whatever it represents. So when I was lying there, I was like, man, this would be so much better with better music. and maybe, you know, I took a few weeks to really like think about it and absorb it, and like there's got to be a way here that we can express things that that lie within our shadows, that are within our trauma, and have a safe space to get uncomfortable. So a safe space to not be in a safe space, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And like this needs to come apart. So
Yeah.
this needs to be kind of safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving permission and creating a space where I'm saying it's okay for the group to get uncomfortable, to get vulnerable, and just let go. Because how often do we have a space set for that? For just like, we utilize primal screaming in one of the first ones called Exorcism that I did, which is absolutely my favorite because it's the most emotive experience for the audience. And we go through like a series of breath work, which really starts, I mean, it literally gets you high off of oxygen, and you're controlled hyperventilating essentially. And so you get up to that, you know, huge energy shift, and then go into this primal screaming. And it's such a release that I've had people in the sound bath, you know, uncontrollably crying, where I'd have to go over and just hold them. And I've gotten, you know, a lot of feedback about, you know, I re-experienced or went through childhood trauma or sexual abuse trauma, and I needed this. I needed somewhere to let this out. And you know, I encourage like journaling and stuff like that afterwards. So they're I feel like they're walking away with something a little more the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the shadow work that needs to be done. I think shadow work gets thrown around a lot right now. It's kind of a hot button topic, and people like to, you know, assume what it means, but a lot of them don't necessarily understand that it's a Jungian concept of analytical psychology. So my take on the sound bath is to tap into not just a spiritual experience, but also a psychological one. Because I truly believe that, you know, by affecting our psyche, we are doing magic. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Worked with different musicians. They're all amazing and fun, and they all have their different take on the themes, which include exorcism and paralysis. We get into lucid dreaming, and I'm writing another one right now called The Void. So
I wish we were closer. One of my questions is, when are you coming? Or when can I come sleep on your couch? That's because the things that you're doing are so, I know that it's a hot issue right now, but they're so cutting edge in what it is, though. So you're helping people to actually, so it's hot, but it's like a lot of like YouTube stuff, and like, here's how to, I literally saw a video because I was doing research that was shadow work explained by Tiffany, and that's what it was called. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's this like, you know, lovely woman, but it's very like love and light and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, wow. Okay. So these people who are watching have heard me talk about shadow work and shadow stuff a million times, but I think it's good for them to hear somebody else. So give them, for those who don't know, because there's a lot of people asking like the shadow stuff. First off, the crystal shadow was the shadow. So Lauren played the actual like physical embodiment of the haunting of Crystal. Like, so like she was the shadow. So for those of you, the shadow was born from the trauma, and you were the physical manifestation of that. And it was so haunting. And they were attached, and they were both, what do you call it? Pierced, hooked? What?
Yeah, we were attached via flesh hooks. Yeah, and so I was pulling her with my hooks back. And the goal was she was trying to express her trauma through art, and I was in control of pulling that back. So I was acting as like a silencer of internal trauma. And from the comments that we got there, I feel like I did a decent job.
There's still people in therapy after that.
I can imagine.
I realized I needed to go to therapy after that.
I think, we got that comment, right? Like, I absolutely need to go to therapy after this.
Yeah, but it's effective though. I mean, it gets people, thinking about it and dealing with it in a very real way that they can see. And so Rachel is asking if you could be this done where you guide virtually, and I'm assuming that she means the dark ambient sound bath.
Yeah. Actually, Rachel, we have one coming up virtually on the 31st. Yeah, the 31st, Sunday, the 31st. So I have some on my website right now, the Sui Generis Magicka website. You can get tickets. We were doing them by donation. We took an entire year to do them by donation while we figured things out, logistically, technologically, all of that stuff. Now that we've got it figured out, we are charging and doing like a ticket-based thing. But by all means, if you're having financial issues, like, just email me and I'll send you the freaking link. Like, everybody needs access to this. I truly believe that. So yeah, we're doing it soon. We do it once a month, and we'll continue to do it virtually until things open back up.
And what's the website again?
SuiGenerisMagicka.com.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get off the topic, real quick, give people you're not too in depth, because I know we could talk about this forever, but like, what's your elevator pitch on shadow work?
Just condense it down to like 3 sentences.
No, we got 3 floors. Let's
yeah. So the quick and dirty is that my definition of shadow work is derived from Carl Jung, and shadow work he describes as the traits that one possesses that are they're not societally accepted. So it's more of the primal self. The darkness is just that we keep those things hidden. That's the only part of people think that the darkness may, have something to do with Satan or something like that. Absolutely not. It's just the parts of ourselves that are hidden. And that's my elevator pitch for shadow work. Like, shadow work is just accessing those things, expressing those things, and finding acceptance within it. Finding acceptance within it, understanding the dichotomy of oneself. You're neither good nor evil. You're both all of the time. No exception. Like, but
all parts of you are good.
Yeah, all parts
or
of you.
Or even if they're not, you still accept them because they're parts of you.
They're necessary. Maybe not good or evil. They're necessary. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into Sui Generis Magicka.
Yes.
So when did you start it?
It launched October 1st of 2020.
Okay.
I guess I can go into how that came about. I was asked to teach a class on blood magic, and it was the first time I had really been asked to teach a class on blood magic specifically. I've done sigil magic classes. I've done Buto classes. I've even done a theatricality of David Bowie class because I love him so much.
Awesome.
Awesome. So when they asked me that, I was like, wow, people actually want to know about this thing. it was very personal to me. It's been very personal to Coven of Ashes. We have our own specific rituals that we, do on stage and with each other, and we all have some connection to it. So I was really surprised that people outside of that group wanted to know about this. So I was like, well, I may as well make that available on my terms. And also the oils and the fixed candles and the things that I create, the altar pieces, I can make those available to the general public. I think I bring a different point of view when it comes to blood magic because I come from the body modification community, the suspension, like the flesh hook suspension community. I've been doing that for about 13 years now. And I can offer a different perspective on blood magic because I understand it from a technological point of view and a historical point of view. Mm-hmm. So that's where, when I've taken other people's blood magic classes, I've definitely seen or experienced a lack in that information specifically, where these rituals come from, historically, culturally, what they mean. The ones that are still going on today, amazing stuff. The new rituals that are being created by the body modification community and the art communities. So I think it just runs a little deeper with me. Not to say that, somebody's blood magic or their version of it is invalid. It's totally valid. I just offer a different perspective.
So, and what you're talking about there, the history and stuff, that's actually the Blood Magic 101 class, right?
Yeah. I firmly believe that you should understand where these fundamentals come from before you start digging into your skin.
Right. And so for the class that you teach and for the class you're teaching for WitchLab, it's actually 101 is a prerequisite. You can't take 102 without 101. So you have to learn the history and all those things that you just listed before you actually tell them how to do it.
Yeah. I just think it's important. I think
I'm with you.
I understand that people want to get started into it really fast, but you have to come at it with a lot of reverence. You're borrowing from cultures, you're creating your own rituals. So you need to understand where these rites come from, what they were trying to pull out of themselves by doing this, the different rites of passage and religious views based on the bloodletting and blood magic. Virtually every single culture has done some sort of bloodletting or pain rite. Once humans discovered that blood was a vital source, they started using it as a currency. So that exchange became spiritual for a lot of cultures and a lot of religions.
Interesting. A currency between a deity and a person or
yeah, okay. Often. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's kind of what I was picturing that you were saying. Mm-hmm. Like, because we give offerings and then there's blood. Right. It's kind of like the biggest one.
Yeah. And that's how I feel is it's the most that you could absolutely give of yourself to a deity or an archetype.
Yeah. There's you can light some incense.
Yeah. You can
do the offering.
You could rub beet juice on your face.
Or you can give blood.
Yes. Yeah. Which is in itself, I think it's fun. It's fun to me.
I'm with you. I think it's
I'm awesome. I'm covered in tattoos. You're covered in tattoos. We're pierced up. We're a different breed,
Yeah, I dealt with blood forever. I started, I was a phlebotomist from the time I was 20, and then I went straight into piercing. Mm-hmm. So it was just needles.
Yeah.
And now I own a witch shop.
Funny how that works.
How it works. So you make product also. And I saw an ad for a fancy little kit.
Oh, yes. So
Tell me about the kit.
I'll be talking about that a little more in 102. But I do offer what I'm calling a blood vessel, as in a vessel of bloodletting materials. So it is a kit that essentially, it's like a travel kit that has everything you need to do a bloodletting either in your home or if you do ritual outside. I'm often near the ocean. I'm in Long Beach, so I'm near the ocean. And to take all the accoutrement with you is a pain in the ass. So, so I came up with this little pocket vessel to take with you with everything needed, and it's convenience, right?
And it looks fucking cool. It's a cool little package. And so if people take 101 and 102,
Mhm.
will they be taught how to use that thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm doing a 103 where I will be going over actually how to do the whole process. So 102 is going to go into safety measures and
Mhm.
how it applies to your magic. So it's
Okay.
not necessarily like this is how you pierce the skin.
Okay.
So I'm doing a 103 because I'm getting a lot of those questions or people that are nervous to get into it. I don't know how deep to go. Like all of those questions, I found the need to like keep going with this, you know?
So yeah, I think that still 3 classes is relatively low for to the actual puncture point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Um, because it is scary when you're holding a needle or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't
And
know
if
what
you've
I don't know
never
what
seen it, if you've never seen it like done in front of you, or if you've never, I think I started taking like BDSM courses and there was a piercing one and it was very hands-on and you're learning with everybody else in the room. There's no, stupid questions or wrong answers. Everybody gets a chance to work hands-on with this. So I would like to offer that, but in a magical sense. It's BDSM can very much be ritualistic, but
Yeah.
I think there are definitely two separate communities that converge sometimes.
Absolutely. There's definitely, union in the
Yeah.
circles, but they're not necessarily the same circle.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I get that question a lot, like, oh, flesh hook suspension, is it some, BDSM type of thing? And I'm like, it can be, but not always for myself, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
a personal question, but
Uh,
I don't shy away from personal questions.
and it's funny that it's funny to me that so many people think it's that because coming from a piercing background, it's always been about shamanistic type work
Mhm.
and rites of passage work and
Yeah.
clearing things out type of stuff. It's always been spiritual.
Right.
It wasn't a BDSM thing at all. Not my history with it. Right.
Right.
It's just
Right.
always about getting rid of shit. Hang me up. I need to get rid of some shit. I swear to God, that's what Crystal would say. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, every few years, she'd just be like, somebody get me up there. I need to get rid of some things.
I need to get rid of some shit. Yeah.
Okay, so Chrissy says, I give period blood to Hecate. Woot. I've used blood for spells. I also practice BDSM energy work for magic and offerings. Again, can totally converge. Awesome. And I love this topic. Hey, we love this topic too. And Mark says, that is awesome. Talking about the history class.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping into any practice without the background is not a good choice. Always. So
100%.
100%. Okay. So what other kind of things does Sui Generis have? Oh, you know what? Let's talk about the name.
Oh yeah.
Let's do
So
it. I'm sure you got a pitch for this too.
So sui generis means unique. Essentially, it's all to its own. And I chose that name. Number one, there's a band that I love that no longer exists called Sui Generis Umbra. They're a Polish band. It's like crazy noise industrial shit. But they no longer exist, sadly. And as I was sort of meditating on what I wanted to call this thing, that name kept coming up in my head. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. I need to look it up. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, so theirs was with Umbra, that's darkness, right? Or shadow. So theirs is like
Really?
a unique darkness, right? And then I applied it to the magical practices that I do. They're very unique because of the perspective I think that I offer. So yeah, that's how that was born. It came to me. It told me what it wanted to be called.
I understand. That Maeve did that, the dog. But I get that. And so when because I went deep searching into it too, because I first off needed to know how to say it. Been practicing that shit for days, by the way. Sui generis, right?
Yes.
Sui generis.
Either way. Honestly, I've heard it pronounced both ways. And because it's derived from Latin, it's like, it's fucking ancient and
it's dead, so we don't know. So I can put whatever accent I want on it.
Yeah.
So, but what I found is that it's of its own kind. There is nothing else like this, and it was used as a legal term for like, we don't have laws that apply to this. Yeah. This is its own. We don't have any way. There's no precedence. This is one of a kind, and this is how I feel about you in this magical community. You are, I don't know anybody else who has a blood magic business. I really don't. Which is, we should get back to your names, by the way, if you want me to brainstorm some more about those. I'm not sure which one you want to use on your business card or whatever, but I'll keep working on it if it's not there yet. I like the Grand Madam of the Left-Handed Path.
I liked that one too. I was like, damn, okay.
Because I started with like Mistress of, and I'm like, no, Grand Madam of, yes. I don't even know if that's a thing or what that means, but I think that what you do is really unique and amazing, and I'm so happy that you are bringing this to the peoples.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I end up talking to so many people. Somebody's got a crazy motorcycle. Long Beach, what? Yeah, I end up talking to people about this all the time because of my art and because of the visibility there. They want to know where it comes from and what it does for me and what my practices are personally and off stage. And I talk about it so often. It's become like a whole spiel, and it just became really important to kind of put that all in one place because I was having coven stuff and dark ambient sound bath stuff, and even my musician came to me and he's like, I think we should just have one website instead of 3.
Yeah, it gets to be a lot. Yeah, I had to do that with WitchLab. It became an umbrella term for everything that I was doing because there was just too much going on. And so when you have that, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about that last year too, when we were talking like business stuff, like occulty business stuff. You were just like, yeah, you should just have one. Just one. Just one term. I didn't know what name I would go with because I'm like, I have so many projects. I didn't know how I was going to go about that. And like creating another one didn't really seem like a good idea at the time, but I can't argue with what's just coming to me. I just have to follow it.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to hold on. Yeah. Like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. So were there any like weird, like synchronistic signs that happened? Because that weird stuff that happens as you're like gathering things and you're like, oh my God, am I doing this? And you start to get that pit in your stomach and you're like,
yeah. Yeah. Initially it was the, somebody asking or a collective asking me to teach. And that kind of got, the gears turning. And then as I'm like putting the social media aspect of it together and kind of releasing, images of my altars and, telling people like, hey, I'd love to teach like an altar dressing class. Buto is a huge part of what I do. just kind of like leaving them breadcrumbs. As I was doing that, I was getting a lot of messages about like, are you selling this? Are you doing this? This is a great suggestion and it was just like, okay, people want this, so I need to just keep following it. Like let the river take you, right? Like I didn't really have to, not that I didn't have to work hard for it, but I didn't have to work
It showed
hard.
you what it needed.
Yeah, I didn't have to work hard to like figure out how to navigate it. It just happened the way that it was supposed to happen.
And I feel like that happens because you set your feet in the direction towards this years ago, not even knowing that this was what it was going to be.
Yeah.
You just set your feet in the direction of the thing you thought you wanted, right? Which is what you should always go for, what you genuinely want.
Yeah.
But maybe you want to go that way because something else is going to come intersect you right there. And if you don't go that way, you won't get that intersection that takes you to the next path.
Right.
Okay, two things. And Jean, you're absolutely right. I was about to do that to her. What's Buto?
So Buto is a Japanese form of modern dance. And I say dance pretty loosely. It's more of just a movement expression. And it was created in the 1960s, co-created by two gentlemen. It was supposed to be the antithesis of Japanese no theater, and which is very like traditional, and there's a lot of rules that people have to follow. So this was breaking all of the rules. This was expressing things that the Japanese culture was not allowed to express in public. And it's funny because if you do a little bit of research about Buto, it's like, yeah, it's undefinable, but it's basically my elevator pitch about Buto is that
I'm getting ready to deal with publishers, so you know.
It's essentially a movement art that pulls you out of any kind of learned behavior within your own movement. So we learn, as women, cross your ankles or your legs or, little things like that. It's to completely ignore that and expel that from your body and experience your body and movement in new ways. Every body can do it, which is why I love it so much. One of the founders and creators of Buto was 103 in a wheelchair, still performing. Amazing. His name is Kazuo Ono. If you guys want to look him up, amazing. And Hijikata was the other creator of Buto. And initially, their first idea of what this would be was that they imagined the souls of people who perished in Hiroshima re-inhabiting a body, and what would that look like and what would that feel like. And if you're coming from this like spirit into body, you might not move how everybody else moves. You're not going to move in a learned way. You're going to move totally foreign to anything that anybody's used to. It very much looks like if you have seen The Ring or The Grudge, that's what it looks like. It's all white. It's very eerie, quick movements, slow movements, just as erratic as possible. And yeah, I teach a class on that too.
So there's that. Yeah. And so, and it's absolutely gorgeous and haunting and beautiful. And that's what my friend Michael J. Morris is also doing on February 5th. So if you can look at that. Yeah. Oh my God. They are incredible. They did a whole, so again, they teach dance. And they did an entire series of dances just based on each tarot card. They express through motion. Mm-hmm. And just gorgeous. Yeah. They also did co-witchcrafting at the shop for a long time, and they were incredible. They would use because they're also deep into astrology, and they would use astrology and tarot, and then almost like a counseling, figuring out exactly what was going on, and then moving that into like a therapy session. They are the sui generis of what they do. Also, they are so unique in what they offer. There's so many amazing magical people out there doing things.
Yeah,
This is
there's
the whole
all these
point. I want people to see you doing the things.
doing all the things.
Doing the
There's all these
things.
like niche practices that I feel like without 2020 being the clusterfuck that it was, we may not even know about, you know, people in their homes are doing these practices and emoting online and sharing these things online, and then you're finding communities of people that want to know this stuff. So there's one silver lining.
It is. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Laura Tempest Zakroff was doing her ritual daily things before, but I mean, she gives you an 8-minute a day movement.
Yeah.
It's just like, here, do this thing. And it's really amazing. It's only 8 minutes. And I don't know if she was doing it before. I don't think so. I think she started it like when I started this, when the shit hit the fan and you couldn't see people anymore and you couldn't do things in person.
Yeah.
It's like, put it out there. So I think that, you know, like you said, silver lining. I'm not going to say it was a good thing. But I was actually just looking up when Coven of Ashes did the thing, because I thought it was 2 years ago, because there's no way that happened right before COVID.
It
like
totally did, though.
You being here and Crystal being in town, and it was like just such a huge thing that I can't believe that was just 2 months before.
Yeah.
I literally had to look up the date before the show, because I was like, wait,
it was like early January. Yeah.
January 5th, 2020. I was like, I feel like when we see dates like that, we didn't know. We didn't know.
We had no idea. I traveled so much in the first like 2 weeks of 2020.
I remember you had a whole schedule that was canceled. I remember that. Like, you had so many things that you were supposed to do.
Yeah. I went from WitchLab to Portland, and we did a show there. And then I had some like dark ambient sound bath stuff lined up. The last one at the end of January, there was like 3 people there, because I think we were getting word at that point that, you know, there was this virus going on. So there were only 3 people, but we gave them the greatest sound bath. It was very personalized.
The best cry ever.
We had it was the best scream ever. It was amazing. But yeah, I mean, after that, it was like everything was canceled. We had plans to go to New York. We had plans to go to New Jersey. We were going to go up to Seattle and Portland with the dark ambient sound bath. All of that got canceled.
Anyway. Whatever. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Hey,
he's got a big thing going on. What is this? Makes me excited for the classes.
Oh yeah, let's look at that. So Casey says, this makes me very excited for the classes coming up. I always felt like I was on the fringe of things, because in even talking about things like blood magic, people really do shy away. I know I felt more comfortable involving it in my practice after I did research on it. Thank you both for opening up discussion on this. That's what we're here for. Let's thank Lauren Davis for opening up discussion on this, because if it weren't for you, I literally know no one else I would be having this conversation with. And I know a lot of people in the magic world, and I don't, it's not off the top of my head, not that, that I could get on this show to talk specifically about blood magic in a proud, educated, safe, like you kind of, because of your experience, you've hit all the boxes to be able to do this. And you know what? It's weird. We don't even know what we're doing when we start checking those boxes.
Yeah.
Moving towards what we love, right?
You follow what you love, and then it's like this thing begets this thing, and it just snowballs into what it's supposed to be, which is where I am now. And I look back on that, I'm like, man, so much of these little pockets of interests all kind of culminated into one thing, which is why I love David Bowie. Witch. Oh, do we like scream every time somebody says witch?
No, I just decided to do that.
Like we word of the day.
It's always witch.
Yeah, it's just always witch. Ah! Yeah.
But yeah, David Bowie also, because he did culminate into this thing. Like he went after the things that he loved, and he was like, I don't give a shit what you think.
He had all these interests everywhere. Soul music, Japanese culture, punk rock, like all this stuff. And, I tell people like he wasn't the greatest musician, but he was amazing at curating something different with all of the things that interested him. And man, like he just inspires me to no end, like magically, creatively, in all aspects of my life. Bowie is God.com.
Wow. You already own that.
I don't, but maybe in another universe. I don't know.
Someone's on it right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's already a thing, but
GoDaddy.com.
Yeah. Let us know. If any of you get it, let us know, because that would be really fun. That would actually be amazing. Rachel says, I always think of practical magic when people scream witch. Witch! Witch! Me too.
Yeah.
And Rachel says he was a great artist. It's funny because Rachel, when she was talking about, I was thinking about Prince, right? Like I know that Bowie was an important, and so it was heartbreaking too. But I always say Prince was my Bowie.
Yeah, those were two that hit super hard.
They were the two tops for me too, and for Rachel. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to origin stuff. How'd you find out about witchcraft? What was your first book? Where did Lauren Davis start?
Whoa. I do remember. I know. I'm like, ugh. How
old are you now? Just kidding.
I remember being in like elementary school, and I was really
just so you know, Prince and Bowie had great respect for each other.
Yeah.
Because they were both amazing.
I understand. Yeah, they were amazing, and also very sexually ambiguous. I'm into it.
Yeah.
We're into it.
So sexy. Why is that so sexy? I don't care. It's just right. Yeah.
But yeah, elementary school. I vaguely remember a book that had like a really famous picture of like a apparition on it, and that sort of kicked the door open for my interest. It scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you, and I kept checking it out. Like I kept checking it out of the library, just like, what is it that does this to me? I'm not as articulate because I was, in elementary school, but that led to, I believe it was in like middle school or something. I was bringing home a bunch of books on different cultures and different religions. And, when I brought that home, my dad, slams the Bible down and says, this is the only book you should be reading. And of course, I'm going to rebel against that and read everything else.
Wait, say the first book again?
I don't know what the name of it was. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. But
this was the one that had a ghost picture.
Yeah. Okay,
so what was your first what was your first either like a witch experience, like which store, which book, like what was the thing that got you like, oh, it's not just fiction?
I mean, as far back as I can remember, it was probably Teen Witch.
Okay.
Like something like that. But I was looking at other cultures as well. I was really fascinated with their different practices. I don't think I was relating it as much in a spiritual sense then, but definitely like the knowledge was coming in, and then, reading things like Teen Witch and Nietzsche and stuff like that when I was like middle school, high school, like I also just thought I was so cool reading Nietzsche. Like
Teen Witch and Nietzsche. Oh my God, to run into you in the school, like in the hallway, which has been like,
Oh, I thought I was so cool.
Wait, what? Oh my God.
I had no idea what I was reading. I just, and when it came to Nietzsche, I was just like, I don't know what this is, but it seems interesting. But Teen Witch, I mean, that led to, other witchcraft books. And from a really young age, I was like, okay, I'm understanding that, as I move through these books, it's like, I don't actually need any accoutrement, any of the witchcraft accoutrement. It all exists within one spell. You don't need it, but you absolutely, it can help. I think, and now I do too. It took me a period of time where I didn't really appreciate those things. And I thought that like the purity of the magic was, it's all about intention, right? So I didn't need any of it. And then actually when I started suspending like 13 years ago was, I like wanted to keep my hooks and wanted to keep the rig line. And then I was like, why do I want to keep these things? It's not just sentimental. They have power in them, you know? And so that's when it really like, became something that, I was collecting things that were triggering, my subconscious to manifest what I wanted to manifest. And then I became more comfortable with the accoutrement.
Yeah, I get the minimalist thing. I do, because you literally want to be able to just do it with nothing, right?
Yeah, just distill it down to the most common denominator is intention. Yeah.
Yes, right. And to find your intention, if you're going to distill it, then you have to find that hardest question in the world, right? What do you want?
Yeah.
What are you doing this magic for?
Yeah.
And you have to just keep asking yourself that over and over. What do you want? What is it that you want, though? Like, really, is that result what you actually want, or is that just, so that's the hard part about magic, I think. Okay, let's do a spell. What do I? Shit. What do I? Well, maybe I don't want exactly that, but maybe what is it that I want? Fuck.
And honestly, that's what the magic is about it. It really causes you to like go internal and figure out what you're actually looking for. Because if you're coming from a place of like revenge, or you're thinking about hexing, it's like, okay, well, what's going on with me? Like,
yeah,
like it's not just about the other person fucking with you. It's what is going on.
How hard that is to translate into a customer conversation? Like, I want to hex this guy. I'm like, what? What's going on
about that? A little bit you have to become a therapist, right? And just be like, let's talk about that and figure out what you're actually talking about.
Yeah, what are you actually asking for? Like, what's the actual thing you need to have happen here? And literally sometimes they just need to yell at somebody for like 5 minutes because somebody sucks. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe not do anything too harsh.
If you need to yell, dark ambient sound bath.
Yeah, maybe we get it out, right?
Yeah.
This is Cuddles.
Hello.
She's been clawing at my butt for like half an hour. Like, can I come up there? Here's the thing, though. If I let her up here, she's just going to put her butt
in the camera.
Oh, I got juiced. Oh, God, it's on my arm. It's everywhere. See if I don't let her up here?
Keep it. It's magical.
Where's the jar? I actually do have a jar of their whiskers and their claws because I find them everywhere.
Yeah.
So I just keep a jar. I'll be like, ooh, that's a whisker. Put it somewhere so I won't forget. Then eventually that becomes a collection that I have to move to the jar someday. I collect ingredients. Right? Don't we all? Like,
yeah. And it's like ridiculous things too, like even just jars, glass jars, I cannot part with because I know that I'm going to have some sort of provision that I'm going to need to store in the glass jar.
Exactly the size amount thing. I just got exactly 30 lizard skins, and I need exactly this jar that I found last week. You think that's a joke, but that's actually my life.
No, I 150% believe that.
Have I mentioned how much I love my life? I love that shit. Oh, it's everything to me. Okay, so you're going on record as your first book was Teen Witch.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Teen Witch and Nietzsche.
We're gonna pair those together for you. We're just gonna cement those together in history.
101.
So your parents were not into it, right?
Dad wasn't into it. My mom is Navajo and very much understood the shamanistic and intuitive side of religion and spirituality. She was Christian, or is Christian as well, but is very much more open to, you know, shamanistic practices, Navajo practices, and even, you know, calls me in when she feels that things need to be cleared from her house. She's a huge Ghost Hunters fan. So anything that goes bump in the night, she's like, what do I do? You know?
I'll be right over.
Yeah, yeah.
And my stick. Hold on.
You know, like I helped her like create an altar, and I helped her like show her how to cleanse things, and she's very open to it. She's always told me like spirituality and religion, like that's a personal thing, and you know, don't let anybody tell you what to do, and you don't have to follow anyone. We'll have discussions on that. We'll have discussions on, you know, body modification, and she just wants to understand. She was a psychology major, so to understand all of those things. Yeah. She cute. She real cute.
That's awesome, though, that she's, you know, that she is educated in that, because that opens you up to being able to understand other people.
Yeah,
like that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna do a couple things at once right now. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna call somebody out and possibly share some information about them. But also I'm gonna tie this into our conversation, which is that I know an amazing Christian, and he's a wonderful person, and I'm just gonna say that he is, because we shouldn't be ashamed of what that is, right?
No.
But he is a good friend of mine, and he made this post. We're going back to him. This is my good friend, and so this is where this crosses over, as in, you know, this is a very Christian thing to do. Tiffany Lauren, I would like to sponsor gift 5 tickets for your upcoming sound bath to the viewers of tonight's show.
That's awesome. Yeah, right? I've been seeing a lot of comments that people thought that was a good idea and that they would like to join. So that means so much, Dustin. Thank you.
So I will get with Dustin, because he's a very close friend of mine, and we will figure that out and do all that. And Dustin, I'm sorry it took me this long. Back before, when I said I had 2 things, this was the other thing. And I just went on the first thing. But I just want to put this out there, because Dustin has been a huge supporter of WitchLab since its inception. He and I have been friends for years, and he is Christian, and you know, I'm not. And he and I have sat and had the most wonderful, respectful, beautiful conversations. Mm-hmm. When WitchLab opened, he was there almost every day, just kind of being there with us and hanging out and just being awesome and supportive. He bought the first ever salt we used for ice outside. He's the one who thought to bring it to work that day. He didn't even work there. It's like, so
you might need this.
So awesome, angel. Wonderful person. And so yeah, looks like we might have some tickets for your next ambience.
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Awesome. Rachel says he's a real Christian, right? I'd almost go to say he's Gnostic, but I'm not going to put that on him. We're not going to talk about that with him specifically, but we can talk about anything we want with you.
I'm an open book.
So what would you call, if you, I know you are eclectic and learn from many different things, mm-hmm. but like, what would you call yourself?
Chaos magic.
If it's not the blood sorceress. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm a chaos magician. Okay. That's the easiest way for me to put it. Like, if you want to put it in a box, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I like worship chaos or anything.
You're gonna need to give us the elevator pitch on chaos. Good luck with that. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one.
So many elevator pitches.
Timer. What you got?
Timer and go.
No, you can have as much time as you want. Tell me about chaos magic. Tell us about chaos magic.
Yeah. So it's funny because actually, like, I've been a chaos magician longer than I knew that I was a chaos magician. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think most of us didn't, you know, we were witches, and then we were like, oh, I'm a witch? Is that what we call it?
Yeah. And so I only just recently started, I'm looking at my coffee table because it has the book on it, Liber Null by Peter Carroll and Psychonaut. And
Those
I
are the starters.
I'm almost done with that book, and it's the first time I'm reading it, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is everything that I've been doing, and my thought process behind things.
Wait, so you are already doing like death postures with crazy sigils and poppets and things?
Yeah,
That
because I discovered Austin Osman Spar when I started looking into Crowley. So I didn't really identify with Crowley or the Golden Dawn or Thelema or anything like that. And when I found Spar, it was like, this guy, this is the shit I want to get into. This
right?
transcendental altered states, like that's where I find my magic. Yeah. You know, I don't I can't I guess I can't publicly say like, hey, do drugs, but like I experiment with mind altering.
One.
Yeah. I experiment with mind altering substances in a spiritual capacity. Obviously there's times when it's just shits and giggles, but more often than not it becomes a ritual.
Right?
Because I want to be outside and I want to be under the moon and I'm communing with nature and the moon, and it's just I may not have intended it, but it ends up being that way anyway. So there's that aspect of chaos magic of the altered states and not utilizing.
So let's talk about that for 1 second, because I feel like that part is kind of unclear for people who are talking about. So Peter Carroll talks a lot about the death postures as far as getting yourself to be able to cross over into
other realms,
enacting your magic, right? Because that's the whole point, is getting it like through the membrane, right? Like through the membrane so that it gets into your subconscious, right?
Yeah. And he comes at it from a very like psychological and analytical point of view, which is what I really appreciate. I always talk about taking the woo-woo out of magic, right? Like when I was younger, I never believed like throwing rocks in a bag and doing the hokey pokey and turn yourself around was going to make me rich, you know? But, you know, when I started to understand that like this ritual, this act of magic, this time that I'm setting aside to honor my goal is just going to reinforce my subconscious to get that to happen. And that's what I really love about chaos magic, is it's rooted in science. And they called it like a proto-science, even like the intuition and shamanic nature of, you know, the ancients that were picking up on like, yeah, this is mud from the ground and I'm going to rub it on me because it makes me feel grounded. Like shit like that. That's exactly what we're talking about. Like, of course it makes you feel grounded because it's of the earth, you know, things like that. It's pretty simple. When you kind of start learning about it and breaking it down, it's like, you know, you start kind of going, duh. But, and it doesn't have to be this big old complex hierarchy.
Magic makes you go, duh.
Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't, what I love about it too is no hierarchy. Everybody is capable of doing the same kind of magic as long as you're open and vulnerable to yourself and to accessing your shadow. There's that word again.
It always comes around. It always comes around to it. It's just something that I think that if we don't tackle, it's always going to be the problem. I really like with chaos magic, and like you were saying, is that it cuts out the sort of middleman. It's kind of like I mentioned Gnostics earlier. So with Gnostics, it was straight to divinity, right? But you're saying straight to the source, the chaos, right? You're bypassing even those and just going straight to again, if we can just get through the membrane that is the world as we perceive it, and be able to put things into there, that will affect us in this membrane,
right?
Or in this side of the membrane. I'm gonna use that word membrane a whole bunch. I hope you're comfortable with that.
I told them like before I started reading Peter Carroll, it was like interdimensional was the word that I kept using, and like things that when you were meditating or when you're doing ritual magic, you're affecting something interdimensionally to bring it into the physical plane, was how I was defining it for myself before I read Peter Carroll, and highly recommend his work.
But I think that he explains what spar. You say spar? I always said spare.
Spare. I've heard it both ways.
I'll go with spar. But so, and again, so everybody knows we're talking about Austin Osman Spar. It's SPARE. I'm not going to get picky about it. But
if you know how to say it, please let me know.
I'm always in search of that. How do we say this?
Yeah. And I read something really interesting on that, where people are like, don't make fun of how somebody pronounces something because it means that they read it and said it in their head and they haven't heard it said. Right. Yeah.
I still have so many of those things, and I've talked to so many people.
Me too.
Somebody give me a ruling on some of these. I just want us all to communicate the same.
Yeah.
And it makes some people angry when you get it wrong. So I just try to be respectful. So Austin Osman Spar. We're gonna go with, so he was kind of the godfather of sigil magic, right? He was associated with Crowley, but he was not interested in being sensationalized in any way. He just wanted to do his magic and his art and his drugs. Nice. Yeah. But he did like the Alphabet of Desires, right? Which is it's his own personal sigil system. And that's what he wants, thought would be beneficial. I guess I don't even know if he was trying to help other people. It's just but he was recording the things that he was doing, and we have that's passed down. And I think that if you read Peter Carroll, you will get sort of a translation of that. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like reading Israel Regardie tells you what Crowley was trying to say.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the same kind of thing. Like now we've got Peter Carroll.
And Peter Carroll puts it in a way that's so much more easy to understand. I'll say that.
Which is funny because Libernal and Psychonaut and then Liber Chaos, not easy to understand. Like they're not.
Yeah. I felt like it was very like.
Well, you started with Spar,
right? What's that?
You started with Spar, so I probably think that you were like already kind of like, oh no, I get this.
Primed and ready. Yeah. I was all lubed up already. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that while you're drinking.
Totally good timing. It's fine. I got it.
Lubing it up, just wetting my whistle.
All right. So tell me, what are you excited about right now?
Gosh, I'm excited about the blood magic classes I'll be doing with you guys. I love doing it where it's like active participation. People can ask me questions. Definitely bear with me because this whole Zoom thing where I'm having to read comments and talk about it at the same time, I'm not that adept at doing that just yet. So I might like wait till the end to talk about something, but there is definitely an exchange, which I love more than just like talking to myself, It's
the worst too, because you're like the whole screen, it's just you, and you're like, blah, 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 blah,
look at it. I'm like, yeah.
Well, if you can teach the class any way you want. So if you want it to be like if you want it to be more gallery view, we can do that.
Either way. Yeah. Gallery view. Yeah. Or just stick me tiny in a corner and then I can see your lovely face.
I'm not going to be the main person. I'm not teaching. Be like me taking notes. Just me on the big screen, just like, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're just like.
You're one of the people on the side that you have to scroll to see, and you're the teacher.
I love it.
No, but what you can do, like if you have like a PowerPoint or some sort of, or even just things that you want to have in the background,
Yeah, I have
you
a
get
PowerPoint.
to have a little screen and a big PowerPoint, and we can
Oh,
make
nice.
it.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, I have a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Do I send that to you, or is it like a screen share thing?
I think it's a screen share thing. I think once I make you host, you can do that.
Okay.
If there's any like Zoom people,
If it's on StreamYard, I see like a screen share button.
it won't be on StreamYard. It'll be on Zoom.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I can only have up to like 6 people on here. So,
Oh, okay.
so no, it'll be like a,
you.
huh?
Hello, all 6 of you.
It's a 6-person class. I know it's online, but it's only 6 people. It's very, very, very hard to get.
Very exclusive.
Very exclusive. It's like the speakeasy of classes.
You got to know the magic password.
I'm trying to work that in, speakeasies in general. So, okay, so, but no, I think that if you have the PowerPoint, I think if I make you host, then screen share. Jean Linden seems to, yeah, and Mark says he hides behind PowerPoint when he presents all the time.
That's exactly why I made the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I made one when I did the online screen share, when I did the online tarot class. God, I didn't want it to be just like me, real big, just, the Fool card. I wanted it to have like some things that they could write down for notes.
Yeah.
So it was like me and the Fool card. So it can be like you and blood splatters everywhere. Or whatever, however you do that.
Yeah. I'm gonna be all bloody for it too.
Oh my God. You're gonna do some forehead stuff, so it's just like while you're talking, it just slowly
while I'm talking, removing them, and they're just slowly
just super nonchalant.
Yeah. Just casual bloodletting, you know.
Casual bloodletting. Oh my God, that's the name of a chapter, at least, if not.
Yeah, you were okay. So you were one of like 4 people who have told me that I'm gonna write a book. I've never considered that at all. And I think, yeah, you were like the last person when we talked. You were like, yeah, you're gonna write a book, and I was like,
I was actually going to bring it up at some point tonight, but maybe have I been subtle? But I mean, and you don't have to. I mean, I know that there are some people who keep certain topics that they teach to be only online stuff. They don't like Jason Miller teaches a 6-month Hecate class. He will not make a book out of it. He just wants it to stay the way that it is because he likes that people have to take the information in the way that it is metered out, right?
Yeah.
And I get that. Sorry. And so it doesn't ever have to be a book, but I mean, you could teach a book about the history, right? Like, I mean,
there's already a really amazing book out there that I do talk about and recommend that I could not top, because this guy has he's covered everything, and it's dense. It is a well of information.
Well, sometimes that's too much for people, and sometimes they need somebody who filters that through them, like Peter Carroll or Israel Regardie. Okay, you can read this textbook tome, or you can read this little book.
Let me do the work for you.
Right. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of books out there like that are really like, okay, let me make this easier for you.
Yeah. No, and you're right. You're absolutely right. And there was another gentleman, fellow artist that I was working with that was like, yeah, you're going to write a book. Make sure you start writing down all of your post-ritual performance thoughts. And I was like, oh, I haven't done magic for It just has on the cover just duh. Like, oh my God, Rachel, I love that.
Okay, I'm sorry. So sorry.
I don't even remember what
your friend was telling you that you should write a book.
Oh yeah, he was telling me I should write a book about my post-ritual performance thoughts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just
I
like,
want to know the insight on that.
yeah, like what was going on in my head maybe during the ritual, what I experienced afterwards, talking a little bit about like where my mental health comes into play in that as well, because it's hugely important. I can say I've done a ritual performance where I went into it like, I got this, and came away absolutely suicidal. And it took me seeking a friend who did Reiki, the ultimate white light, right? um,
Oh.
it took me seeking her out, and I had never had Reiki done before, to help me through that. And I loved, like, she gets me. Her name is Kristen Dewan. She has an amazing book and website. I believe it's The Healing Woods or something like that. But she gets me. It's something by fire. I can't
Something
remember.
by fire. Got it.
Something by fire by Kristen Dewan.
Kristen
yeah.
Dewan.
Kristen Dewan. Yeah, she's just an amazing human being, and she gets me. She knows that I come from a very dark practice, and she knew that I would be kind of apprehensive towards this light healing. And she's like, don't think about it as light, think about it as fire. And I was like, got this. All right. I can understand now. Like,
it's energy, right? It's energy transference. It doesn't have to be white light. But I think people go with white light because so many people are uncomfortable with anything else. Whereas you and we're actually more comfortable with, could it not be the white light stuff? Maybe is there
can we just burn this fucker down? Like,
yeah, like can we put a little Satan in it?
Yeah,
just like a little,
just a little heathenism. Yeah,
it's a little bit of something dirty. So Mark was also thinking of bloodletting for dummies. So we've got 2 for that. But Jean has a vote. Reflections of a blood priestess.
Oh, for the post ritual thoughts. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Jean, good job.
Yeah.
So Crystal Heart says, that's it. That's the title. Well, we're done.
So it's 2 books. Blood Magic for Dummies. And then
need one of my other names. Wait, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Queen of Chaos.
Queen of Chaos and
Blood Sorceress. Grand Madam of the Left Hand Path.
It sounds so, yeah. There's a lot of pageantry in these.
Hey man, I like the stuff, okay?
I mean, I'm a performer, so do I.
Makes me feel good about it. All right, so we've been going for about an hour and a half. We should probably ask people if they have questions.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys, got questions? Just go with Goddess.
I have such a weird, so I've been called that before, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Call me a demon over Goddess. Like, that's,
right. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Kali is a goddess to me, right?
I mean, Mark is all about the dark. So if Mark's saying go with Goddess, he actually means it to be one of the dark mothers.
Like, I'll take it from you, Mark.
Yeah, he's actually he's the head of the Circle of the Dark Mother here. He's the one who leads our monthly meetings and rituals. Yeah, and he's all.
I kind of answered that, Christy, and like I follow Kali. Kali and Lilith are my main archetypes that I work with. I don't often, yeah, there you go. I don't often mention like Baphomet and Ganesh, but I work with them a lot. I don't know why I don't mention them.
So you say Baphomet.
Huh?
So you say Baphomet.
Yeah. Do you say Met? Yeah. See, there's another one.
But the thing is, I have had this internal conversation, not to tread on the God or Goddess conversation, but in my head over and over, I'm like, Eliphas Levi was French.
Yeah.
It's Baphomet, right?
Yeah.
He's the one kind of, but so.
But there's all these like alternative ideas about where like it was a derivative of Muhammad or like things like that kind of try to explain where the pronunciation of it comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of people relate it back to like Catholicism and Christianity, and I'm not as well versed in those, but from what I understood, it was a deity that was created by Crowley, wasn't it?
No, I think it was pre-Crowley. So the origins of of Levy's illustration in Transcendental Magic, because that's the first time we see the Baphomet that we know of now.
Yeah.
And so the only other times that we have heard the descriptions of this came from like the Rosicrucians or something like that.
Okay.
Like people who were warrior Christians, strangely enough.
Yeah.
And so, but that's like and I might be wrong about Rosicrucians. It might be Templars, honestly. It could be Templars, but
Yeah.
it came from an older religious thing. And that was the only description that he went on. And I could be wrong, but this is where I went. When I went deep about it, that's what I found. But you found something about Muhammad. So
yeah. I don't remember what the hell I was looking at, but I want to say it was some Google something, and I was like, interesting. But yeah,
okay, so Mark says the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar.
So I know, yeah, like there's texts that talk about a goat god guy. And
yeah,
I think
we
that's
have like pagan Pan and stuff like that. Like it's, I feel like it's one of those archetypes, right? That's kind of just been under the skin for a long time.
Kelly Casey's asking, Blood Chaos and Left Hand Path podcast. Can you tell us more about this?
Oh, so that was actually done a podcast that I did. It was more of an interview. There was what is the podcast name? The Order of Chaos is the podcast, and they interviewed me on my practice and my classes and stuff like that. So it's linked on my website if you take a look at the blog. And yeah, I talk more about blood magic and chaos magic, and it's really just kind of like a conversation, just like this, you know.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's something to look into. So you are on the blood. So it's Blood Chaos and Left Hand Path.
That's the name. That's the name of the one that I'm featured in, but it's called the Order of Chaos podcast. Right. Yeah.
So that's the show title.
Yeah.
Order of Chaos is the show. Is the name of the podcast itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, sweet. Okay. So if you guys want to hear more about what she's saying about this stuff, you can listen to those guys too.
Yeah.
Or you can just keep listening to us. God, geez.
Yeah. We can talk all day. Like
we might get to more things. What do you guys want to hear about? We can talk about anything. Like I think that you and I could get some weird shit going.
Oh my God.
Oh, wait. So okay, wait, two things. Casey says Templar Knights was what I've read. I've always loved learning about Baphomet.
Oh my God.
So I literally have 3. Yeah. I have 3 on my altar behind me because there's Hecate and then 3 Baphomets.
I'm just pitching this. What if we do a round table on like Baphomet?
I would love that because I want to know more.
Awesome. Yeah, like
I have very little to bring to the table.
There's so many different little like things that people have picked up about this archetype that I feel, you know, we can all just let's talk about it. Let's talk about our feelings.
So Mark is bringing to this, in some circles, Baphomet is the combo of Samael and Lilith as one combined being.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, yeah, and that would make sense with like, you know, Baphomet having the aspects of the fowl, the snake, the serpent, you know, the male, the female.
Yeah.
The light and
the balance. Because as far as I know, Baphomet is all about balance, right? Like the whole, I'm going to get us a visual reference. Hold on. Okay. So like, so boobs, dick, right? So we've got that. And then we've got the solve and coagulate, right? Like the up and the down. So we've got as above, so below, balancing the two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
The two worlds separated by a membrane. I want to talk about that again.
Membrane.
Membrane. But yeah, the whole thing is the balance. And I think that's what, when we talk about magic, and the whole point of magic is balance, right? Over and over. Over and over. That's what we keep coming to. Balance your shadow with your light.
Yes.
Oh.
We are everything at once. Acceptance is key.
It's when we acknowledge everything at once. I'm going to dust him as I'm talking to you. It's sorry, Lauren, I've got you up here still. But it's when we find that balance, that we feel the comfort that magic and witchcraft and blood work and ambient sound baths, the whole point is so that we feel more comfortable in our skin in this world, right?
Yeah.
The whole point, to make him more feel comfortable with us. Dust on him.
Clarity. Yeah. Maybe dust that guy off.
He's good. But like, and then also balancing the animal and the human side, right? Or
primal and
man side.
Yeah.
Right. Primal and civilized. Because we have our animal instincts, but also we are civilized with things. Okay, what is happening? We've got some things happening.
Got a big long message here. Mention some about mental health struggles and your eventual need for Reiki. What? Oh no. What was the result? Okay.
Wait, so let's just read it out loud, because some people are only listening to the show. Lauren, this is from Crystal. Lauren, you mentioned some mental health struggles and your eventual need for Reiki. Was that a result of the blood magic practice? And if so, what would you recommend to beginners as to how to prepare mentally for this practice?
And Crystal, you're talking about the practice of bloodletting or the practice of Reiki? I'm assuming bloodletting. So I can talk a little bit about that. It was a ritual performance where I was doing a flesh hook suspension. I had a circle of, the coven was around me, circle of women around me, and they were instructed to write a word or phrase that explained their trauma in just like a short word or phrase. They wrote that on me in lipstick. And as I rose, they screamed their responses to that trauma up at me. And when going into it, I didn't really prepare myself enough. I didn't protect myself because we've talked a little bit about this, Tiffany. I like to raw dog the spirit realm. I gotta make bumper stickers, dude. So, and what I mean by
spirit world, got it.
What I mean by raw dog in the spirit world is I don't do a lot of protection magic. I open myself wide.
Condoms.
Right. I don't wear any magical condoms. I do not play safe, essentially. That's all I'm saying is I don't play safe.
I condone this. This is not a way to do it.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. It's for people who really want to go through some shit, I'm not afraid to go through that shit, and I have the wherewithal and the means to be able to protect myself if I feel that that's necessary for me, either before, during, or after. But when I do a lot of like channeling or a lot of trauma work, like I'm diving in. I don't often call in ancestors or like any kind of protective entities. And that's just a personal practice thing.
Okay.
What's that?
Nothing. I'm not going to analyze you right now. And why not?
Why not? No, and I'm like, I'm as I go along in my journey, I'm understanding more and more when it is appropriate for me to do that. We're all learning, right? Like this is a path that is of constant learning, which is probably why I felt so weird about teaching before, because I'm like, I still have so much to learn, right? The more you learn, the more you understand you don't know.
Yeah.
But to get to Crystal's comment here, so essentially that trauma that they were spewing up at me, or their responses to that trauma, there is something that people go through with flesh hook suspension called post-suspension drop. And what that is it's very closely related to like a BDSM sub drop, where you are elevating your consciousness, you're elevating your pain tolerance, your energy is real up high. And when you come down from that, you come crashing down. And especially with somebody, I'll go ahead and say this, I'm bipolar. For somebody who already has roller coasters of emotion, it hits hard. So without that protection, without having the moment to ground, and without having like, some sort of post ritual that I did, I was just like in show mode. And I don't know what was going through my mind about that. Like I was just like, but it fucked with me in a way where I finally needed to reach out and get some help. It was like 3 days after that experience that I was frantic, and I was just looking for any sort of thing that would help me. And I, went with my gut, which told me to contact Kristen Dewan. And I'm like going to plug her name a bunch. Kristen Dewan.
Spell her name.
Well, it's Kristen, and then DWAN.
DWAN.
Yeah. TheHealingWoods.com or something like that, I believe. God, I'm like, the book is like, I'm still trying to figure out what the name of the book is. But it was crazy because I was not like, I'm so anti-light, and that's my cross to bear, right? Like that's my struggle with balance, is that I'm so anti-light. And so in going to her, she understood where it was coming from. She understands my practice. She suggested that I think about it as fire instead. And without knowing where I suspended from and what the ritual was about, she only had very vague understanding that I did a ritual about trauma, about other people's trauma. And she was able to like pick out the exact spot that I was suspended from. And all of that traumatic energy just got stuck within me, which led to, this incredible down on that roller coaster, and to the point where I was pretty frantic. And then like, because I had never had Reiki before, and she like puts her hands over my head, and I felt it was like a vacuum. It was insane. And then I was a believer. I was like, okay, I'm physically feeling things. I feel emotionally like I'm moving through this trauma that has been, shouted up at me. It was an amazing experience to do that suspension and to hold that trauma for the coven. I just needed to prepare for it more. Would I recommend something like that for beginners? Hell no.
But recommend them to be prepared to take on something big.
I mean, definitely it depends on your practice. If you feel the need to like call in protectors, you're opening your flesh, so you're opening yourself to what do you
need to put on a psychic condom?
You don't need to put a psychic condom on. That's up to you.
I mean, if you don't want to go full bore with the spiritual experience, woo! Fine, whatever. What are you here for? Jeez.
I feel like any other witch would tell you need to call in some protection.
And you're like, fuck it, write it hard and dirty.
Dirty.
How else you gonna learn? What you think shadow work is, bitch? Sorry, channeling.
That's me.
That's channeling your inner stuff.
That's exactly what it sounds like too.
I knew that. So she is suggesting that you do not do that.
Yeah, don't do as I do.
So hard. I mean, those people who open their lives up to like, I'm just gonna open my life up. Hey, Lilith, Hecate. However people do that with their mouths. Come here, right? Like, and then their life falls the fuck apart, right?
Yeah.
It's Tower Central. Everything's fuckered. And then you find the life that you were supposed to live. So there's two ways to do this. One is real gentle, and one is the way that Lauren does it.
I love extremes, if you haven't noticed.
You what? Yeah.
I love extremes, and I don't walk lightly. If I'm gonna learn a lesson, it's gonna be hard. And I
try hard, and I carry a big stick, and I usually hit myself with it.
Exactly. I'm a piñata.
Oh,
especially on hooks.
All right. Just a little love. Kelly Casey says, "Love this conversation more than you realize."
Yay.
Great job on imagery. I feel like we're doing a lot with that. I don't even know when his comment was from. It was so long ago, but I feel like we've been doing good with imagery. Yes, balance. That's what I loved and drew me to Baphomet. Me too, man. Like just something like that. And also, I'm a sucker for a big pair of horns. You
know what? I was gonna wear horns for this.
All right, how many pairs of horns do you own?
For display purposes or for costuming purposes?
Costuming.
I believe I have 3.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I have like 5.
The other ones are for display. So
I love wearing horns so much. Sometimes I just wear them around the house to make myself feel better. And then sometimes somebody's this happened a couple of years ago. I was baking cookies and wearing horns, and like one of the kids' parents came to the door and I forgot. And I invited them into the kitchen, and I'm just like baking cookies and wearing horns, and they're like, what the fuck is happening right now? And it wasn't until I walked past the mirror that I was like, oh shit.
I love it.
I never came over again.
Show your real horns, Tiff.
It's come as you are party, and I almost always wearing horns. But Alonzo said, Tiffany, on point with the balance statement. Again, every magical thing that we're doing, whether you are doing Kabbalah, you're balancing, right? Severity and mercy, right? If you're doing alchemy, right? It's all about balance. It's all about finding that perfect amount, the perfect amount in the perfect vessel, right? That's what temperance is all about.
Yeah.
Anyway, embrace our inner Baphomet, right? Get your.
I would just like to also include that I like to say bath mat because
I call him Baffy. As a shopping term, it's Baffy. We sold the big Baffy. We sold the Dark Storm Baffy. We can't keep Baffy statues in to save our lives. Like it's no matter how many I order, and I love that. I love people like, oh, I need the big Baff. We've sold 2 big Baphomet statues this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just trying to infiltrate Baffy into everywhere because I love the balance in the guise of a Satan thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people who are like, Baphomet is Satan. Like, I didn't want to have that conversation.
Yeah. You have a fundamental understanding of pagans and ancestry.
Let's see. I'd never heard of transcendental until my first crush died as an adult with his son. I had a dream after. Oh, sorry. I'm reading too fast. Christina says, I'd never heard of transcendental until my first crush died as an adult with his son. I had a dream after I burned a small note to him. That was 3 years ago. He told me to look into transcendental music. Never heard of the term. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Transcendental is something that we cannot talk about. It is ineffable. It is a concept that the transcendental world is the world on the other side of the membrane. It's the membrane itself. It's everything that we can't quite put our finger on.
Mm-hmm.
And so transcendental music means something like, you go beyond to the point where you can't talk about it even. I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
What an amazing experience.
Right? I wish that any one of my dreams or visions were that clear with me.
Oh my God. I had some insane ones today. I had some insane visions today. I have what I call morning things. It's my morning ritual or practice, and I borrow a little bit of it from a book called The Artist's Way, which is you wake up, pee if you have to pee, but you wake up and you write 3 pages, just word vomit, 3 pages every day. And then I do a meditation, and then I go into like my physical work. So stretching and, push-ups and all. But
I listen to Lizzo and use hand weights. That's what I do. That's my morning routine, is listening to Lizzo and just dancing however the fuck I feel like.
I love it.
Anyway, go on.
Anyway, so the visions I had today were crazy. I had a vision of a baby named Sequoia. I had a vision of a disembodied, kind of mummified head with a single eye.
Really?
Yeah. And God, I'm like, what? Oh, there was a group of men that were sacrificing a lamb and cutting off its hooves to save for something else. And God, there was one more. I can't remember it now. It's written down, but I was just like, and then I go into like try to analyze that thing, but essentially it was like, oh, the first one I had was like, when you start meditating, you get to that sweet spot where you start like kind of leaving your, the physical realm. So
I don't know it's happened until you come back.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah. And I start getting to that point and coming out of myself, and I saw whatever was in my head, whatever I visualized as the world around me, it literally did like an Inception like flip, and everything was right side up when it flipped too.
Right.
But I always like try to go back to it, even though I'm meditating and I need to just let it go. It would not happen again. So there was just one flip of the entire world that existed in my head. And then it was the sacrificial lamb. Then it was the baby named Sequoia. And then, the disembodied head. Really weird. I don't usually get insane imagery like that when I'm meditating because I'm trying to clear, right?
Yeah.
But this just kept coming up, and I'm like, oh God, I hope I don't forget it,
The whole point of getting to clear is so that things can come through. If you're going to meditation beyond clearing, the clearing is just the first step.
Right.
So that you can hear what's coming in on the wavelength, right? It's almost like cleaning the radio. You can be like, all right, I'm listening. But you get to the point where it's actually coming in.
Yeah. It's all visual.
For those of you who keep telling me you can't meditate, I just can't do it. The whole point is so that things can come back at you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it takes practice, 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Everybody can afford 10 minutes a day.
You say that, and there's going to be a lot of people who are like, fuck you, can't. And I'm going to throw out a word that's going to piss them off. It's called prioritizing.
Choices. Yeah.
You can prioritize it or you cannot. What you're saying is that it's not
a priority.
prioritizable.
Yeah. Prioritize.
It's not worthy of prioritizing into my daily thing. And we're just going to judge you on that. I'm kidding, we're not. That was a joke. But I understand why people stop, why they can't, why they say they can't. It's because they haven't prioritized it, because you don't know how important it is to get to the other point where you can listen to the things that come in. And that's where the shadow work comes in.
Yeah.
So it's something that I find so fascinating and that is not talked about widely was Jung's fascination with alchemy, right? He found that was part of the key that he was looking for, right?
Yeah.
And that it was hidden, and that that these things that we work on, that alchemy is actually a version of shadow work, right?
He used it more of like a metaphor, like for psychological work, and it's really just like it's math, right? It's like this plus this equals this. So, but he had a really interesting way of putting it that I can't articulate worth a damn.
I'm literally sitting on my chair. This is the back of my chair. That's not even the altar. That's but no, he talked about right. So like the prima materia is us, right? Because that's the thing you start off with in alchemy, and then you have to liquefy it, right? So that the good stuff rises. And then you take that, and I think then you actually fucking burn it. Like you burn down to, and what's left from that, like the negredo, which turns into like the black. And I think that's where the shadow work comes in.
Yeah.
Like because that's the step where you actually get rid of the stuff that has attached itself to you, as a negative thing, like almost like the crust on your shadow that you're trying to get off.
I've never heard it described as a crust.
It's the crust. You gotta break through, right? This is what alchemy studies have led me to.
I think that's the next dark ambient sound bath theme. Just crust.
We will cleanse you of the crust. Crust cleansing. Oh, the crust cleansing has begun.
Crust off you.
Oh, we haven't looked at comments in a while. We should probably maybe take a break and look at comments. I do not wear magical condoms. That's the best. We have a lot of magical condoms awesomeness here, just because.
That's my next book.
I can't. I'm an empath. Give me a magical. She needs a double bag, right? Like the maybe 2 extra thick stuff. Don't just use the sheepskin. Use the real things. I always have to be protected, right? Like,
But is it ribbed?
I don't know. How much are you looking to get out of this? Are you looking to have a little fun?
A little mutual enjoyment.
And Mark says, with Kali and Lilith as deities, you are going to go on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
So much transformation.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that people need to know going in, right? Like it's almost like if you,
I said, extremes. I'm all about.
It's almost like if you go straight for Lilith, Kali, Hecate, any of these hardcore dark Santa Muerte, right? You go into the hardcore dark stuff. It's almost like there is no condom. It's not an option.
Yeah, it's not really. I don't know anybody that can go light into Kali worship.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I've met a lot of people who've gone light into Lilith because they're getting to know her. But then I'm like, yeah, once you get in there, there's going to be a lot more required of you. She requires a lot of attention. So
yeah, you can't just let it go. You can't just start and walk away either.
Yeah.
You're going to have to keep going, because those lessons are going to keep coming, and you're also going to need that connection to kind of get through them. That's part of the process. All right. Where are we at? Fuck. I use fuckard all the time. Fuckard is a word I use constantly. What's wrong with this sour cream? It's all fuckered.
It's all fucker.
Crystal really likes raw dog the spirit realm.
Yeah, that's my next book. I already have 3 going on. Look at that. Blood Magic for Dummies, Reflections of a Blood Priestess, and Raw Dogging the Spirit Realm.
You need to have a little like you going, oh!
I'm just...
oh, yeah. Sorry.
I love it. Let's see. Yeah. It's a struggle with 2 young kids. This is in regards to the meditation. So I don't know how young your kids are, but meditation works really well for kids as well. Where are you? Start them young. Start them young for sure.
That's true. That does help a lot. Mm-hmm. Where? I don't know where you're reading this because I want to put it up there.
Which one?
Okay. Well, all right, we'll move on.
I just like seeing Raw Dog the Spirit Realm. Got it.
Don't leave that forever. That's actually going to become the new WitchLab Wednesday live scroll bar. Raw Dog the Spirit Realm.
I love it so much. Got it.
Got it. Wait. Sucker for big horns. Seriously, I just just put horns on it. I'll buy it.
Put a horn on it.
Put some horns on it. I need 2. I like 2. Yeah, put 2 horns on it.
Yeah. None of this narwhal action. I need 2 horns.
Yeah, no unicorns, no narwhals. I need the anything from this to big and crazy. Yeah. I'm down. If I came to your house and you were wearing horns, I'd be like, how can I be part of this?
Same.
Time to talk about our. Wait, are you wearing horns? You know what? Fuck our kids. Let's talk about why you're wearing horns.
Do you have another pair?
I do.
I guess a pair.
So in my house, just outside the door here, there's actually it's some kind of farm tool that when you hang it upside down, it has just like these, like, it's almost like a Freddy Krueger glove. And so all of my kids' horns are hanging off of that thing right out there because we all have horns. So
it sounds like a souped up hoe.
Yeah, it is. It's just like this. I'm not going to go get it. I'm not going to go get it. But anyway, it's a thing that hangs out there that, at one day when we all went to the Ren Fair one year, all 3 of my kids stopped at the horn vendor and they were like, oh, these purple swirly ones are perfect for Anna. And these like red on fire ones are perfect for Scar. And these little like white and like, they almost look like white howlite, but they were made of clay, were perfect for Jack. Like they were all.
The apple doesn't fall far.
I mean, I like that they want.
No, it's really sweet.
And yes, and Betty, if you showed up, it'd be like, yeah, yes, again, you can. I have everything from little to like seriously big and sparkly.
She has a loaner pair.
I got so many loaner pairs. I think I have 2 pairs in my van right now. Don't ask. It's fine. It's totally fine. Oh wait, so I just got okay. Right. So this was Rachel saying it's a struggle with 2 young kids, dude. So I had an employee who worked for me. She was actually Sarah. Sarah is actually wonderful, but she had the hardest time with meditation because her fucking cats.
Yeah.
Like what? Cuddles is literally sitting here just staring at the computer. By the way, I wish you could see this. It's freaky. But she couldn't meditate because she had 2 cats who would just fuck with her the whole time. And it's how do you get past that? How do you get past the day-to-day,
the distractions
that are in your comfort zone?
Yeah, that's so also part of the meditation, right? Is learning how to tune that shit out.
Kids are like bonk, 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 and you're like, oh,
I can't hear you.
It's hard. It is hard, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what sucks is that sometimes you have to wait till they're not young kids anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like my kids are finally, I'm 12, 13, and 18. So literally I can just close my door and be like, shut up.
Mommy time.
10
Yeah.
minutes.
And that's a boundary you might need to, I mean, if your kids are babies, obviously you are going to have a harder time with that. Hopefully you have some kind of like childcare situation, whether it's a partner or a friend, but still
Grandparents.
it's I consider it self-care. Like if I don't meditate, I'm at the point where if I don't meditate, I feel fucking off the rest of the day. It's so helpful, and I think even when you do have young kids, it's like you need that moment to ground. 10 minutes, just ground. And I think if you have, you know, a healthy relationship with a partner, if you tell them, hey, I need 10 minutes to myself to just do this thing, I'm sure they would understand, you know.
And if you don't have a partner, if you're a single parent,
Yeah.
You know what? Impose on your friends. Don't be afraid to ask for fucking help. Like, hey, I literally need to meditate for 10 minutes. Just come hang out with my kid in the living room while they watch TV so I can sit in the back.
Put on some headphones. I do guided meditation because if I just leave it open, like I'm everywhere. So I have to do guided meditation. I have to hear somebody tell me what to do.
Yeah. And I think that those are overlooked. Like people think that they're not.
The people think they're hokey.
Totally worthy.
Yeah, totally worth it. I have an app called what is it? Hang on. I can tell you right now. Mesmerize is the app.
Oh, really?
You can turn, it's got great visuals, number one. But number two, you can choose from different meditations and you can choose the music that you're hearing as well. So all kinds of stuff. They even do like
ASMR. The accent of the person giving you the meditation.
You can.
What?
Yeah. You can choose if it's male or female and if it's like British or if it's an American accent. Yeah. It's crazy cool. I love it. So Mesmerize is the app for that. I use it on free mode. You can do a purchase mode and there's perks. I don't know what they are.
We should do a whole show on witch apps. I mean, just the apps I have on my phone that are witch apps. Like I have so many.
Moonly? I have the Moonly one.
You what?
Moonly is another app.
I feel like we should have a show, like a whole show of like you, me, and maybe like 3 other people who are like, what are the witch apps?
Yeah, round table.
Yeah, round table of that because I use a bunch, but I don't know that they're the best things either.
Yeah.
But I also might introduce you to something cool. So, okay. So Christy says, with my ADD, preach, I struggle with meditation. So I learned to use that activeness to trance instead. Okay. Took discipline and practice for sure. Most days I just have to close my eyes and I'm there in that other. Can't say the same for meditation though. That activeness to trance, what is that?
It sounds like, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Christy, but when I think of like an active trance, it's like a trance dance. You're raising energy as opposed to like lowering that energy. And then you have an altered state of consciousness by getting yourself into that trance.
Okay.
I mean, I've done trance dance. I think that's what Christy's talking about, but I could be wrong.
Okay. We can also look down. We're quite a few comments behind, so they might catch up with us on that. All right. Crystal Hart says, thank you for that validation. I always felt I was doing something wrong if I couldn't meditate without being guided. My mind really just takes over if not guided, right? Exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah. Take it from someone who guides meditation. I need guidance too. Yeah.
I find, so even when I do guided meditation, I feel I can meditate better than without it. Like, because and I'm sure you do this too, when I do a guided meditation, I am there with you. Like when I am speaking, I am in the place that I am describing.
Yeah.
And then that's how I feel like the timing works and things like that. Like it's almost like I'm inviting you into my brain as I'm doing the thing.
Mhm.
I'm sure you do that too. Like you visualize as you guide.
Yeah.
So what
Absolutely.
kind of stuff do you do guided meditations for?
So I mentioned the exorcism one, and that's
Uh-huh.
really taking the idea of demons not being an entity outside of oneself, but they're within. And so you're exorcising things that you would like to get rid of. So the meditation portion is really about focusing yourself on those specific items so that when we do the breath work and the primal screaming, you have that in your mind as you're releasing those things. Paralysis is more of a visualization meditation. If you think about, the one I'm thinking about right now is entropy. So
Oh my God. Sorry, go ahead.
the the movement of order into chaos back into order again. So that's a visualization meditation where I take you through like a little journey, and you're submerged in this puddle, and there's all this like silt that's around you, and you are completely still to let that silt settle and see clearly. And then when you get up, you stir it up again, because that's entropy. There's that. There's the dreams one is about shutting your body and your mind down so you can enter that lucid state. Um, and really it's almost just like, because I don't know that people lucid dream within that, like within the sound bath that I've held in person. Some people fall asleep, but I don't know if they actually lucid dream. But if anything, it's teaching you a technique to tap into your dreams like that. Yeah, there's a bunch. The themes are all on the website, and it has a short description of what it is that we do, but they all start with meditation.
It's such a building block. It's ridiculous.
It is.
I hate that I have to tell new witches when they come in that that's one of the most important things they're going to have to do.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
damn it.
It
That
seems
you-
daunting. It seems daunting for some people, especially when we're in such an automatic, everything's fast society, right? Like this forces us to slow down, and it forces us to be here now, to quote Ram Dass. That's something I have.
know,
Yeah,
right?
I have to actually, when I catch myself thinking about other shit, I literally repeat to myself, be here now. Be here now. Yeah.
Yeah. Focus on your breath.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to bring yourself back to it. And so Chrissy is saying, wait, okay.
Mm-hmm.
As folks, I've heard folks say that meditation silences the monkey brain, whereas trance uses that monkey brain. When I struggle with meditation, Apollo told me to not silence that activity, to let it go, let the chaotic thoughts play, not to analyze, which eventually allowed me to trance very easily. I also do ecstatic dance, drumming, and poses.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, go.
Yeah. Whatever works for you. And I think that's an amazing way to kind of turn meditation on its head and do it your way. It's all entering an altered state, right? And they're finding their way on how to enter that altered state. And I totally agree with that, like that monkey mind, because I've done some really intense ritual art where I have like hooks in my chest and we're pulling and it's insanely aggressive and it's all that ecstatic energy and I just fucking leave my body. Like it's amazing. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah, the using the monkey brain to actively catch on to something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, to use that because when you're doing a guided meditation, there is imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And then your monkey brain can like just be like, oh, I'm gonna grasp onto that, and that becomes something even more impressive. I feel like when you have that ability to visualize and you can use your brain in that way to kind of fractal out right?
Mhm.
Like you can take what the person's saying and as a seed as to what you see, and that becomes in that way that your reality while you're meditating. I've had experiences that were so incredibly real during trance meditation things that I still go to them when I'm having trouble sleeping, wanting to like try to go into something other membraney, right?
Mhm.
Because they stick with you. Yeah. To pierce the membrane, I will close my eyes and visualize the thing that happened to me during that thing. But it helps. It works.
Totally.
Amber says the repetition of spinning yarn is the only time I've ever felt like I could meditate without a guided meditation. So the the repetition of something over and over again, where you lose, it's almost like going into another trance, another mindset trance, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything you do that's like that, where you kind of slip into?
When I was when I was working in an office, it was so mundane and automatic that I could do that. So I was just checked out in a way that was very meditative, and I actually enjoyed it. But I'll also say that I'm an Aquarius, and I'm very much an Aquarius where my thoughts are constantly in the clouds. And yeah, all that air energy.
Because Aquarius is an air sign, it's not a water sign.
Yeah, the water bearer, but an air.
Bearer.
Yeah. But yeah, I just I find when I'm doing mundane things, I'm able to either check out or I'm able to think of the next creative thing I want to do.
Right?
Yeah.
That almost tortures me. Too many things.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm going to do all this when I get home. And then I'm exhausted when I get home.
I just forget. I try. I do. Okay. So anyone out there, and I've realized this in the past couple of weeks as I've done this in front of people, you can set an alarm. You can set a reminder on your phone at any point. Be like, remind me when I get to work.
No.
She says, what do you want to be reminded about? She's just being tough on here. Anyway, remind me to call Lauren Davis about Blood Magic 103. Anyway, so for any of us, and she's doing it right now. Whole thing. Remind.
Wow.
So when I pull into WitchLab tomorrow, it's going to remind me to bug you about WitchLab, about Blood Magic 103.
103, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, if you have a trouble, like, focusing on stuff like that, because I have a huge problem with, I will literally just forget. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. It's so important.
Yeah.
And it leaves.
Yeah.
Voice activated reminders, bitches. Get on it.
Also doing it like first fucking thing. Like, I have to do the same thing with working out. If I don't do it first thing, it's not happening, because I will make every excuse in the book to not have to do that.
Do the hardest thing of your day first.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks, but eventually when you get into the groove of it, you start looking forward to it, and then you feel weird when you don't do it.
I agree. Yeah. And then it's almost like getting stuck with a chiropractor. Not that I'm saying chiropractors actually do that. The only chiropractor I've ever been to did not say that you have to be there for life. But it's almost like you feel like, shit, if I start doing that, then I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. It doesn't feel like that. After a while, it actually feels comforting, Okay, so when I was a kid, hated brushing my teeth, right? But did it every day. And now I brush my teeth every morning and every night. And if I don't, it feels so weird. Gross.
Yeah.
It feels weird. It's out of step for my ritual. And so if you put magic into your everyday and you make it something that does make you comfortable and it is healthy for you, then eventually you'll just fucking do it automatically. You won't have to be torturing yourself. Oh, I gotta fucking meditate. Oh, to be like, no, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Put on my slippers and brush my teeth and meditate.
Yeah. Start with 5 minutes. Start with 3 minutes. Whatever you can start with.
Right. Like the John and I talked about, light the fucking candle. Just fucking do it. Just fucking do it.
Candle.
Light the fucking candle. or just, you can even, whatever it is that starts your daily thing, just sit the fuck down. You can really translate this to anything. Just sit the fuck down. Just light the candle. Just, just kick your kids out into the other room for 10 minutes. As long as you put just and fucking in there, I'm fine with it. Go ahead and use it all you want.
Just fucking.
Oh, eventually that's what it gets to, right? Right? I just spend my time fucking now. That's all I do. Okay. We should probably wrap up. It's almost 11 here, which means what time is it there? 8?
It's about 8. Yeah.
Okay. So let's look through some things. Okay. So Chrissy says, I will say I suck at meditation, and even more so with guided meditations. My brain doesn't like that kind of control, I guess. But Byron Ballard is the only person I can follow guided meditations. And then they go on to say, I've had very intense meditation with Byron during her moon workings. Okay. So Byron Ballard is an author who's been on, I don't know if you've seen her speak. She's incredibly soothing and amazing. She wrote, oh God, so many things. Stitch and Dog Water. Her new book, Roots, Branches, and Spirits, is just coming out this week. But anyway, during a class of hers, I had visualizations just with her describing her centering and grounding.
Nice.
Like, she has this way of speaking that when you listen to her, oh my God, yep, that's exactly how I'm going to ground and center from now on. Like, just the way she talks about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I get that. And sometimes that's what it takes, is finding the person that cuts through your bullshit.
Yeah.
If Byron Ballard can cut through some bullshit, like, and I've heard you speak and perform, I'll bet you cut through some bullshit too. Like, you can get people to hear you. You can cut through their, I don't know how to meditate, and get into what can work.
Yeah.
Aquarian energy is exactly what led me here tonight. That's what I'm saying. Synchronicity is a thing, friends. Scuba diving is the only meditative thing for me. You have to focus on your breath, right? Focusing on your breathing. That's what the Calm app does. The Calm app just keeps bringing you back to just breathe in and out. Focus. Either picture the air going through your nose, or through your throat, or in your lungs. Doesn't matter. As long as you are visualizing one of these things passing air back and forth, then you're focusing on right now.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about the fucking train of things that are going across, about work and that person and whatever, traffic. Who gives a shit, right?
In my guided meditation, I love when they're like, I think they ask something like, what are you thinking about, or something like that, and my mind is going pew 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 pew. And then it's like, and then she's like, now put that away, and I'm like, no. I struggle. Yeah.
Maybe put a lid on it. What? It's fucking hard. Amber says, I live and die by my calendar notifications. So do I. I live by notifications because I have so many things going on. I just have to. The amount of things that pop off when I show up at home or at work, it's like ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
But you know what? I try to take care of the scariest ones of those first.
It helps. It helps.
And right now,
and everything seems fucking downhill from there. Everything is just
sweet. It is. Yeah. Everything else is easier once you take care of the hardest thing. So call your accountant first, because that's the biggest bitch.
No, meditate first.
All right. Then call your accountant.
And then call your accountant. Because you'll come out your accountant with a clear mind.
You're right. Oh, mental clarity. Once again, full moon. Do that now before you call your accountant.
Right.
Tiffany. All right. I'm going to let you go. This has been absolutely amazing. Tell the people where they can find you.
Generis.com. If you're on the Facebooks or the Instagrams, it's the same thing. One word, Sui Generis Magicka. It's not one word, but it's for the purposes of social media. It's one word.
I did put a link. I posted a link to the website earlier in the feed. So if you guys go through the comments, you'll see it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's where to find me. Feel free to ask me any questions, reach out, take a look at the stuff I have for sale if you're interested in bloodletting materials or just left-hand path provisions, lessons, Buto, all of that. Yeah, that's the blog. Yeah, that'll show you like the upcoming stuff.
Excellent. And eventually we'll get you out here to be in person to do something. Dark ambient.
Maybe I'll stay there for a week and just do a bunch of shit. Like,
or stuff we haven't even thought of yet, man. Like if we get together and be like, hey, we have a whole week to do something cool.
Yeah, I'm with that. We can raw dog the spirit realm together. Lasso.
Oh, I'm bringing things back with me. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
All right. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful night. Everyone here is saying thank you and thank you and thank you and thank you. And thank all of you guys. You guys are fucking amazing. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of this.
Participating. It's awesome. Yes. Asking good questions and providing good information about Baphomet.
Yes. And I will try to get
learning from each other.
Yes. We'll try to get Lauren on again at some point. We'll talk again. You're always welcome back, by the way. Yay. And I think that roundtables would be fun in the future too, because we have so many people. Yeah. So many people like you and like me who are just kind of like online and talking about shit.
Yeah.
If we come together, our group knowledge.
Study buddies.
Dangerous. What did you say? What buddies?
Study buddies.
Yes. Exactly. All right. I love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Lauren Davis, thank you so much. Yeah. We will see you soon. We will see you April 1st and then again April 8th. Blood Magic 101 on WitchLab.com. All right. I love you, bitches.
Love you. Mwah, mwah.
Have a wonderful evening.
You too.